guys do a lot of dumb things based upon this one sentence, okay? It's "you're too scared." If you're a teenage guy, you have definitely heard that sentence before. And it's usually when somebody's trying to convince you to do something stupid, okay? And they say, "You're too scared to do it." And if you're a guy, you've heard this. And it's a bad thing to have fear as a teenage guy, right? But what's sad is that when faced with the fear of doing God's will, most Christians chicken out. Most don't do God's will because they're afraid of mankind. It says right here in Psalms chapter 56, verse 1, it says, "Be merciful unto me, O God, for man would swallow me up. He fighting daily oppresseth me. Mine enemies would daily swallow me up, for they be many that fight against me. O thou most high, what time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. In God I will praise his word. In God I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do unto me." The Bible talks here about fear. Fear comes daily. Isn't that what the Bible says? It says right here, whenever the psalmist David, he was talking about his fear, he said right here in verse 2, "Mine enemies would daily swallow me up." His enemies were daily trying to get him to consume him, daily trying to get him to fall, daily trying to overtake him. His enemies were there, and he was consumed with fear about his enemies. And whenever he was consumed with fear, what did he do? He called out to God. Said, "Whenever I'm in fear, I will trust. What time I'm afraid, I will trust in thee." Fear comes daily, and it comes from many sources. But the greatest fear of all comes from people. It comes from mankind. Fear of what people think of you, fear of what somebody might do to you, fear based upon what somebody else has told you. Fear comes upon us all, and what we choose to do about that fear is the trademarks of a Christian. When you are fearful, what you must choose to do is you must choose to trust in God. The Bible says here, verse number 11, "In God have I put my trust. I will not be afraid what man can do unto me." You know, recently we just finished up our series in Sunday school about the early church, right? And what happens, we talk about Peter and Paul and Barnabas and all these guys that served God, and all these guys that were faced with stonings, with beatings, with these rulers of the land telling them they could not preach the gospel. And they chose to obey God above man. And I imagine they were fearful. And whenever they were fearful, who did they turn to? Who did they go to? They went to God. They didn't let fear consume them to make the wrong kind of decisions. They took their fear to the Lord, the one that could help them conquer those fears. You know, next time you're faced with the fear of telling your friends about Christ, or standing up for God on social media or in life, trust in God. Let him calm your fears and do mighty things for him. Fear will stop you from doing God's will. So if your trust in God is not enough to outweigh any fear that comes upon you, then you have a shallow relationship with God. I don't think any of us want a shallow relationship with God. Fear is not from God, it's from the devil. So hey, next time you're afraid, what do? Do what the Bible says. Run to God. So what time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. I hope you're doing well. I hope to see you tonight at church. And anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day, and God bless you guys.